This week we got a new episode of Helluva, during which we finally got a real long look at the Wrath Ring, the third ring of hell to be featured within Hazbin Hotel and Helluva so far. We did videos breaking down everything we knew about the rings as a whole, but today we're going to take the time to talk about the Wrath Ring, everything we know about it, and perhaps more importantly, everything we do not know. My name is Deepcut, welcome back to Cartoon Universe, and if you've seen my videos but still aren't subscribed, you're a meanie. Subscribe today and you'll receive a free uwu in the comments. So we know there are 7 rings of hell, each named after one of the 7 deadly sins, and each with its own prince to rule over it. Each of the rings appear to have their own uniquely colored skies, with Pride having a deep red, the kind you might imagine when thinking about hell, but Greed having more of a green one, a sort of faded dollar bill look. Here in the Wrath Ring, the default color seems to be more of a dusty sunset gradient. Towards this world's version of sunset, we see the colors become more vivid, similar to how in the Greed Ring and the Pride Ring, we see the sky get darker at what appears to be nightfall. The landscape is largely country and desert, though that isn't all that we see. In a very simple and very quick shot, we see that very close to the same land that holds the desert and also serves as a farm, that there is a volcanic region overflowing with what appears to be lava. Even more interestingly, there are strange globes of fire or lava that look like tiny suns. The distinct difference between the sky before and after this shot gives the impression that these tiny suns actually affect the level of brightness, and in some typical day-night cycle, seem to brighten and darken the sky in a similar pattern to our own sun. I believe this to be because of the globe swelling up through the day and then slowly shrinking at night, though this has not been confirmed. It's likely that this volcanic region is responsible for the many common fire twisters that Moxie and Millie's parents discuss at one point in the episode. While other humanoid or sentient species might exist in the Wrath Ring, the only one we've seen featured prominently so far are the Imps. It has long been theorized that Imps are actually from the Wrath Ring, with other species like Succubi being from the Lust Ring, but Blitz refers to his employees as being from the Wrath Ring, indicating that he himself is not and that he has never been there. It may be that there are different types of Imps that come from different rings, and it has been theorized by some fans that which ring you are born or raised in may determine what kind of Imp you end up being. Both of these would explain why Blitz in particular is so different from the other Imps we see. Stolas even refers to the Imps of the Wrath Ring as small Wrath Imps, indicating that other species of tall Imps may exist in other rings, though it may have just been him adding adjectives when addressing their species. The culture of the Imps in the Wrath Ring, at least in this particular community, is a mashup of the Old West and cowboy aesthetic, matching the cactus and deserty landscape, but also reminiscent of the American South, with more farm-focused communities. The Wrath Ring is apparently responsible for providing the food that feeds all of hell. While I'm sure other places have local delicacies they may grow and make, these would be nothing compared to the food the Wrath Ring produces en masse. Part of the food they farm seems to be plant-based. We don't really see any of it in the episode itself, but Stolas is called in once a year for a ceremony called the Harvest Moon Festival, where he uses his grimoire to make the real Harvest Moon, as he calls it, appear above the crops in order to curse them, which is Hell's version of a blessing, of course. As of now, we don't know why Stolas is the one in charge of this ceremony, outside of him of course being the only one we know of with this kind of astral portal access, but we don't know if this curse he places on the crops actually does anything, or if it is entirely ceremonial. The festival is supposed to honor the Imps who work so hard to provide the food for all of hell, which is why it also comes with the Pain Games, a series of local Olympics that let the people of the Wrath Ring see who is the strongest and most fierce. In addition to these unseen plant-based crops, the Imps of the Wrath Ring also farm animals. So far, they mostly resemble the farm animals we have on Earth, but like with all other wildlife we've seen in Hell so far, they are a lot more demonic and powerful. One example is this monstrous pig that Moxie tries to slaughter for the family dinner. This seems to be the adult version of Angel's pet pig, Nuggets, that we have seen in the Hazbin Hotel music video as well as in the prequel comic about how Angel ended up at Hazbin Hotel. They also have domesticated some extremely hellish horses, and we see Blitz fawn over them as well. It is uncertain if these animals are actually native to the Wrath Ring, or if, like with real-life farm animals, they were native to one region but farmed and bred around the world. Despite raising these animals, slaughtering them seems to be a hands-on sort of job that requires a lot of effort because of the animal's demonic strength. The way they discuss violence and war, as well as farming, gives the indication that they aren't slaughtered by machines like factories do here on Earth, but instead, imps personally have to kill each animal that they slaughter by wrestling with them and using their bare hands. We have more facts about the Wrath Ring, but really quick, I just wanted to let you guys know that we have relaunched our Patreon. We got rid of all of our old tiers and created new ones, focused more around sharing theories and lore for Hazbin Hotel, Helluva Boss, and other cartoons. For $1 a month, you get a theory each week, and for $5 a month, you get 3 theories a week, plus early access to videos on this channel. We've got theories about why heaven is really doing the extermination, whether or not Alistair is trying to get into heaven, and plenty more coming, with more than a few theories already there. I'll put a link in the description down below, check it out, and even if you can't afford any of our tiers, we have a free theory up right now you won't want to miss. Now, back to the video. Outside of the farming culture, there is a huge love for the idea of war. The Wrath Imps talk about it like it is a daily occurrence, but one that they love. They do not indicate if the war is with other parts of Hell, which would not make any sense as they provide all of the food for Hell, or if there was some other war out there. It is somewhat implied that, outside of farming, the Imps are all constantly being hired out for violence-based missions, similar to how the Succubus all seem to be hired by overlords to go up to Earth and encourage lust, with Millie's family and Stryker all indicating that Blitz is in a similar business to them, but one that he is running on his own. It gives the impression that imps are constantly being hired to go up to Earth and be violent, but this still wouldn't explain why they refer to it as war unless imps were somehow involved with the actual wars that humans are having. Outside of communities like this, there is likely also a less violent culture that exists in the Wrath Ring, as Moxie is from here as well. He indicates that it does mean he has some fight in him, but we don't hear any talk about his issues with Millie's family are similar to his own, suggesting that perhaps he is from a region where imps in general are more like him. Still focused on violence, but not the same way they are out here in this more country-ish region. Finally, we have the Prince of the Wrath Ring, Satan himself. He has been mentioned several times in Helluva Boss, but generally it is in an expression of disbelief, similar to "oh my god," or as a pleasantry, like "God bless," but practically nothing has been said about him as a real figure in Hell. We have plenty of evidence that suggests he is the Prince of the Wrath Ring though, such as official merchandise calling a city in the Wrath Ring La Satanio, as well as other names on the list and in the show, matching up with the Peter Binsfield classification of demons that says that Satan is the Prince of Wrath. In regards to how he looks, we have not seen a drawing of him the way we have with Mammon from the Greed Ring, but considering how all the imps of the Wrath Ring look like generic devils from our cultural history, what with their red bodies and horns and pointed tails, I would imagine that Satan looks very similar. Though I am sure he will be much bigger and much more ferocious looking in a way that makes him superior to the other imps. What his role here is unknown, as we don't know much about what the 7 princes do overall, but subscribe to the channel and we'll be sure to let you know everything we can about Satan as soon as he appears in the show. See you then!